The following video is intended to give you, the victim, an idea of what to expect while dealing with the criminal justice system. This is just an overview. Advocates will be available to answer any questions you may have along the way. If you're unsure at any point about your need to be in court or want an update on the case, we will look into it for you. Our advocates are not lawyers. Legal questions will always need to be answered by a prosecutor. Your safety is our priority. If at any point you feel threatened or intimidated in any way, please contact law enforcement. Your case began because a call was made to the police and a police report was taken. This incident was assigned to a detective and an investigation took place. The grand jury prosecutor has been presented your case. Some cases may come from surrounding cities, while others come straight from courtroom 3 in the Toledo Municipal Court. A grand jury will decide if felony criminal charges will be brought against the accused in the crime. In this private hearing, there is no judge or suspect present. The detective will testify, and in some cases, victims and witnesses testify. The grand jurors then vote and decide whether to indict the defendant with the offenses. Victims of violent crimes will receive an application for the Ohio Attorney General's Victims of Crimes Compensation Program. You will learn about your right as a victim outlined in the Criminal Victims' Rights booklet. If a defendant is in custody, we can register you with the VINE program, which stands for Victim Information and Notification Every Day. This is an automated service that will notify you if offenders from certain institutions are released. Victims are free to go for the day after the case has been presented and the grand jury has voted. Later that afternoon, the grand jury report will be filed with the clerk's office, and the results will then become public record. This is usually around 3 p.m. You will be provided with a phone number to call for the results. Within a few days, the case is then assigned to a judge and prosecutor. You can track your case online by going to www.co.lucas.oh.us. The following is an overview of the notification process. First, you will receive a 3-page letter notifying you of the indictment. This letter will give you the prosecutor's name, the judge assigned to the case, the charges, and the defendant's name. The defendant is what the accused is called during the court proceedings. On the last page of this letter, there's a form where you can apply to receive notifications. For certain cases involving more violent offenses, you will receive notifications even if this form is not filled out. Once the form is completed, you will be notified about every court date. You do not need to come to court unless you receive a subpoena, a witness meeting letter from the prosecutor, a phone call from the prosecutor, or advocate on behalf of the prosecutor. Whenever you come to court, please come to our office first so that we can have an advocate sit with you. The first time the defendant will appear in common pleas court is for the arraignment with their attorney. This is where they'll enter their plea, which is usually not guilty. Please do not be alarmed by this, as it is just part of the process. Next, the judge will address the defendant's bond. Sometimes arraignments are set very quickly. We recommend calling or checking the website for the date if you plan to attend. This is a very quick hearing, but there are many cases on the court's calendar, which is called a docket. There is no way to know when your case will be called. Be prepared to be on time with the possibility of having to wait several hours. As cases proceed through the criminal justice process, there may be several court dates for the defendant. Pre-trial conference hearings are status updates held in the courtroom. The judge, the defendant, and the prosecutor are present. Victims are not usually required to be at pre-trials unless at the request of the prosecutor. There are 3 possible outcomes of a case. A plea resolution could be made, the case could go to trial, or the case could be dismissed. In preparation for a potential trial, the prosecutor may conduct in-depth interviews with all witnesses and victims on the case. Once the defendant has been found guilty, either through a plea or verdict, a sentencing date will be set. In some cases, the probation department will investigate and make a recommendation of the sentence to the court. As a victim, you should be contacted if there is a pre-sentence investigation. It's important that you participate and let the judge know how the crimes have affected you. Make sure the probation officer and the prosecutor have supporting documentation for any restitution requested. The probation officer also interviews and runs the criminal record of the defendant. The report goes to the judge and is not a public document. This is the time you'll want to put together a victim impact statement. This is an oral statement made to the court. You'll address the judge and not the defendant. If you're not comfortable speaking in front of the court, you can submit letters in advance of the sentencing date. Our advocates can assist you with preparing these statements. Your family and friends can also submit letters to the judge at this time. The day before the defendant is scheduled to be sentenced, we'll contact you to see if you're planning on attending. Again, we urge you to come to our office before court so an advocate can be with you during the sentencing. We'll stand with you while you make your statement. We can also make statements on your behalf. After the sentencing, the defendant has a right to appeal, which may or may not reverse the initial outcome. We will notify you of any hearings or decisions. Please make sure our office has a current address and phone number for you until the defendant is no longer under any supervision on this case. We are here for you. If at any point you have any questions or concerns, please contact us. If at any point you fear for your safety, please contact law enforcement.